Now, in this video, we're going to cover actually checking some of our framing inputs. So we're going to add part marks basically to the pieces in the model. So let's go to our fourth floor plan here, and we already have some dimensions which we covered in the previous video, but now we want to go ahead and we want to create some marks. So if we go over here to our annotations pack, and we're going to go ahead and open up the model mark. So what's awesome about this is it's very similar to like a part mark in the erection drawings or general arrangement drawings. And so if you just leave everything blank here and start with these standard settings, the very first thing that we'll do is we'll just like pick a part here in the model, and then you'll see that the piece mark appears. So I need to do a numbering. So let's go ahead and number the model. So say perform numbering here. And then if I come back to this, it is parametric, so if I just hit modify, you'll see that the piece mark updates. And we can change the font to whatever we want. So we just come in here and say modify. It'll change that font however we want. And then what we can also do is we can change the parameters that are in here. So we can put in just a free text of a prefix and a suffix on the mark if we want to, but we can also fill in the mark values. And the way this works is it intelligently reads template editor values. So right now I've got, for instance, part position in there, and then you basically close the template editor value with brackets, and then you can put a space and then like a dash, and then we have the profile in there. So let's just say profile, and we'll keep that, but then let's also do another one here, and let's just put in material for an example. So if you put in material grade and you just say modify, you can see here that basically it puts in all three of those properties. Now what's really cool about this is that if the beam size changes, so let's say that we modify this to a W24 by 55 and say modify, you'll see that the piece mark is now out of date, but all of the parameters change here. So let's go ahead and modify the numbering, and then we'll just say modify here, and we can see that the piece mark and everything updates. Now you can do multiple basically settings here at a time, or multiple marks on the same beam. So a lot of people are like, hey, I want to stack multiple things in here, but what's great is you can have all sorts of part marks attached to the same piece. So what we might do is we might actually come in here and let's say we want the length alignment, so along the length of the piece, basically we want that centered, and maybe we only want the profile and material there, and we just say modify, and then we're going to put in even, let's say C equals for the cambering, so you can do user defined attributes as well, and then just put those in the brackets, and then here if the camber isn't set, then it just returns null. So if we actually go in, open up the user defined attributes here, go to camber, and we put in 1 1/4 inches and just say modify, then basically if we come back into this text and say modify here, you'll see that it's C equals 1 1/4. Now the reason why the plugin didn't automatically just update when I changed the UDA is unfortunately user-defined attribute modifications don't send a flag to dependent components to update automatically. So if you do change user-defined attributes, you do have to modify these. And if you want to modify multiple of these marks at the same time, all you need to do is come in here and do a selection filter by component, name, and then really it's going to be just model mark. So if you just select that, and then you can select multiple model mark components and modify them all at the same time if you need to. Okay, so there we've got basically the profile, the material grade, and even the camber called out at the center. But let's say that we just want the assembly position to be over at the left. So we'll just say assembly position, and you can save these away. So you can create whichever save settings and things that you want. And you may even want different properties shown at different stages in the model. If you're model checking, you may want more things there versus what you're actually doing for final detailing, etc. So here I'm going to put in assembly position. I'm going to have it be towards the start end or the yellow end of the beam. And then I'm going to make sure that that's set to above, and so we'll just apply those, and then we'll activate the component, pick the part, and there we go. Now we've got the piece mark here. So we've got all of the profile information here, and then the piece mark here. And again, if I just update the numbering, say modify on this, there we go. We see that it's changed. Now, what about getting the end elevations? Maybe I have a sloped roof or something like that, and I want to just quickly show those. So here I've got, for instance, a start Z, so I'll just load that up. And I've already got a piece mark shown here above, so I'm actually going to set the vertical alignment to below, press apply, activate this real quick, and then there we go. Now it's at 40'6", right? And it's showing it below here. Well, let's say, what about the NZ? So let's do NZ, load that up, and then let's say that we want that to also be below. We'll press apply, and then we'll just activate this, and then there we go. Now you can copy these around. These are basically associated to the part, so you can copy them, or there's a mass applicator here. So let's say, for instance, that I have this model checking setting saved away, and I just want to grab all of these beams here, or the whole floor of beams. If I then just say, let's use the model checking settings and say apply marks to selected, here it automatically basically puts that all in for me. And now you can see all of those marks are quickly put in. So, again, you can put multiple marks on the same pieces. So let's say, for instance, here, I liked that profile, but now I just want to use the Start Z, and then I just say apply marks to selected. And then there you can see that 2 sets of marks are applied to all those beams. So it doesn't have to be manual one at a time. You can quickly select a whole floor plan and get like all the different annotations and things that you want placed on your beams. Now if you grab this and you just say move, and let's say we move that 24 inches, then the component is basically intelligently attached to the part, so it will move and it will update with that.